Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
People love Dave Nourie, and they always answer the phone when he calls. When we get him on Zoom, we ask him to confirm rumors.
Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go. Oh, the Nourie handstand is now called the Palacio stand.
We should ask Nourie that. You should have got Gumby on this. We could have cleared that up, man. But wait, you're asking me? It's
yeah.
I always thought it was just Nourie stand. Wait,
well,
I think it's
being contested as we speak. Okay, and here's the backstory. Okay. Joe really thinks Joe's having.
This is my favorite story. This is my favorite story.
So, and it just brings up some interesting things that we can kind of chime in on. So, the first time I did the trick was in my first contest at AFA 1984. I'm on a Skyway TA, in matter of fact, Vic. That's the bike that I rode. Not Dirt Brothers, though, just to clarify. It was not Dirt Brothers. I think it was pre-Dirt Brothers, right? So I was really excited. I was super nervous. And this guy, Dean Palacio, who was also a local Mission Beach rider, came out and did a handstand on his front wheel. And I was so bummed. I was trying not to watch the riders, but I happened to see that. And I went out there and I did my whole routine and I did my handstand, but he did it first in the contest and he got it in the magazine first. And all these years, I've been riding on the coattails of Dean Palacio and his Palacio stand, and I called it the Nourie handstand.
That's brutal.
Yeah. I mean, how do we determine who can claim a trick? Not that I just named it just because it was a trick, but now I kind of feel bad.
Well, yours, how tall is he?
Good question. Good question.
So yours probably could have been a little higher, a little lower, and then you could say it's a variation, and then you can claim it as your own.
And I can feel good at the end of the day. I don't feel like I have to. Yeah,
you've let it all out now. This is more of like a psyche analysis of all the grief you may have.
Oh, okay, good.
We're helping him with his grief. We're gonna get Joe Johnson to help you with your grief.
I'll get some ants. I'll put some ants in your pants, and you can try it again.
For me, I think the picture in the magazines, that's a big one, man. It's hard to get over that hurdle. I claim the tail whip foot plant off the wall, right? I claim it. I got a picture in the magazine doing it from 88 or 89 before anybody else. So I'll just keep claiming it. And was I first? I don't know. But that's all we got. So you just kind of go, there it is. That's all I got. You got any more proof than that? It's
So Joe, with that, I'm sorry to say we have to go back and change to Palacio stand because he did get it in the magazine first. I know it's going to be hard.
That's tough. But do you have any other evidence? Is there any other evidence, like another photo you had, or, maybe you could pull that out?
No, not of me doing the handstand. What about you, Matt? What's your take on this whole thing?
Let's see. I'd say you guys both did it first.
But I'm saying in general,
call it a tie.
Idea of tricks and who claimed it. How does it, I mean, the 900 has come up before. Mike D supposedly did it in the backyard, but he didn't get any footage of it. You obviously did it first in the contest. How does that all get figured out?
Yeah, and I always say, I think Mike definitely invented the 900 because he conceptualized it. I didn't think about doing the 900 until Mike did it. So yeah, I think it's I don't know. I landed it, but it depends on how you define inventing. I didn't conceptualize it really. I guess it's a 900, so it's not. I don't know. You got me kind of stumped here.
Good. That's what we want. because it's a funny gray area.
I did my Flatland trick though that I did. I think I made up was a frame stand where you put my foot on the bars and I spin the bars, and like you remember whenever Dennis and RL, they were just like so neck and neck and at the AFA along like I think maybe 87, and and then RL did my trick in his run and beat Dennis. So every time I always just tell Dennis, sorry, bro, I'm sorry. I invented a Flatland trick that can make you lose the title, but you know, like
that's so good.
Ty Carter and I were just talking about that trick. We were like, how does a ramp rider do that trick? Because nobody else was doing it. And I don't think people are doing it.
The reason why, okay, I'll take a little bit of my credit away here, is I had like a luggage rack to stand on with those Skyway the street beats. So like, yeah. So I was pretty impressed that RL could do it because I don't even know if he had a frame stand. I couldn't do it on any other bike, but
I did a show that was a reunion show in 2009 with the Haro team in the Worlds at Germany in Cologne. And I did all my old school stuff. We actually wore like all of our gear, the leathers, and I rode a master. I rode an 85 master, neon green, of course. And I had a lock lever on it. And I did my ant rider and threw it behind my back to Tennessee twist. And the pros came up to me afterwards and like, how they're looking at my bike and they're looking at like, they didn't realize, they knew I had to brake. They didn't know that I had a lock lever. So they couldn't figure out how it was just hopping and then just totally just let it go and throw it. I mean, riders nowadays can do it because everything that's done with brakes can be done brakeless is what I've seen. But it was just really interesting. It's the same kind of thing. They're just like, it's just not part of their reality. They're all riding brakeless.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
The next one, Matt, fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper. The first time you shook hands with Bob Haro, what was that like?
Oh, you mean someone that can bring you to your knees when you shake hands with him? It possibly could, but maybe is that? I remember. I think maybe he is. I forget exactly, but I remember. I mean, I was injured half my life anyway. Well, I was actually thinking about how much I was injured because I was thinking I've had let's see here, 20 something like 20 almost 30 surgeries and so many broken bones. But then you add 4 months onto all that, and that turns into like 4 times. What is that, like 80 months? And so that's like, I mean, like what, 6-7 years of being off, so I don't know, where did I go with that one? But yeah, I think I remember, I think you're right, because I think I remember kind of dropping to my knees and being like, damn, he like put me in my place. I thought I was somewhat tough, and that dude took me out in one handshake.
So that's three now, Joe, just if we're keeping tabs. So
Dave mentioned this offhanded, and then he said it in front of Pete Augustin, and Pete Augustin got totally triggered and was like, that motherfucker caught me off guard. And every time he sees him now, he lays into him.
Yeah, I thought it was just me. The first time I met him, that's what happened. I just finished the contest that I was doing down the lakeside, and he just crushed my hand. I mean, to the point where I couldn't have ridden. If I hadn't competed, I would have been so bummed. And I was just sharing, I don't know how it came up. It just came up in the conversation. And Pete's like, he's like, really? That mother, he did the same thing to me. And the next time I saw him, I'll tell you what, I was ready for him. Pete got like really, really aggro about it. So
what's the psychology behind that? That's like one of my things I'm not into, man.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm definitely not into the clam, this. But come on, what is the deal with that? What is the deal?
Well, Joe and I were trying to figure it out, and we're realizing, why didn't Haro ever make a grip? Think about it. All the Haros, they had either Oakleys or mushrooms. Why didn't Haro ever make a grip? GT always made the grip, Amy grips, but Haro never made a
probably
grip.
because he was trying to make the deal with the company that would have made the grips, and then he gripped their hand and like hurt the guy, and the guy's like, "Screw that guy! I don't want to even talk to him anymore." I don't know.
That's a good analogy, Vic. I like it.
The guy with the best grip never made a grip.
Never made a grip, right?
I don't even want to deal with that guy.
I'm telling you, some of the stuff that comes up, you know, you start to connect the dots and you start to realize maybe there was something to it.
Totally.
You never know.
That was well before the fist bump, so they didn't have any plan B.
Imagine his fist bump right now. You know.
He just clocks you in the face, like boom, knocks you out. Done.
I really like this one. factOrFreestyle. Danny Way was one of many who inspired you to go big, but Gumby is the only one to inspire you to go small.
Okay. Yeah, Gumby. You guys ask weird questions, man.
That's the idea.
This does sound like an Irish, riddle.
Yeah.
To be honest, but
We put a lot of thought to this one, Matt. We put a lot.
We
of
heard
thought
that he
to this.
convinced you to go to fly in a suitcase to France.
Oh yeah, he definitely convinced me to do that. He told me it was Brian Blyther's 50th birthday, and we got there, and Brian was like, "Oh yeah, that was like 6 months ago." You remember that? and then Nourie was like, "Oh really?" And so it was basically none of us knew, and then as soon as we got there, we're all stoked, like surprise, and then Brian's like, "Oh wait, you guys are mistaken." But it was still fun. So that's what you meant by going small, is by getting me in a suitcase. And okay,
You guys,
man, you guys, bam, okay, yeah, you're right. That's
yeah. So it's fact.
Fact and that's fact and freestyle.
That's fact and freestyle. That's a first.
Yeah, it was fact, but the fact wasn't really true, and so it was kind of a freestyle because we found out that it wasn't fact, that it was Blyther's birthday. So I don't know. Does that? Yeah. Okay.